Dutch Tulip Mania, the first great madness in human history. Chapter E, the absurdity of perception. Imagine trading a luxury villa in the heart of Manhattan for a single onion bulb buried in the dirt. You'd think that's a deal only a lunatic in a psychiatric ward would make right. But in 1637, in the Netherlands, if you didn't make that trade, the rest of Amsterdam would have called you the idiot. Welcome to the 17th century, Netherlands humanity's first true golden age. At the time, Dutch merchant ships were sailing to every corner of the globe, and gold was flooding into this marshy little country like a broken dam. There was so much capital that bankers were actually getting anxious just trying to figure out where. To dump it all. And so, the first true capital storm in history found its vessel. It wasn't gold. It wasn't land. It was a flower, the tulip. Official textbooks would tell you with a straight face that this was an aesthetic accident. Thanks to something called the mosaic virus, ordinary petals began to grow mysterious flamenco stripes. People loved the beauty, they loved the rarity, and so the price went up. Simple supply and demand. Right sounds logical, but give me a break. If this was really about aesthetics, why were tens of thousands of people gambling their entire life savings on flowers they had never even seen? The truth is far more brutal than the petals. Chapter R, the trade in wind. This brings us to our first dirty secret. These people weren't buying flowers. They were buying air. In this frenzied market, a term was born poetic, yet utterly lethal wind handle. Literally, the trade in wind. This was the birth of the world's first futures contracts. You didn't need to own a physical bulb. You didn't even need to get your hands dirty. You just signed your name on a piece of parchment, promising to buy or sell at a certain price at a certain time in the future. The system was originally designed to hedge agricultural risk, but in the hands of the greedy, it became the ultimate tool for slaughter. Suddenly, the barrier to entry vanished. You didn't need professional logistics or massive warehouses, cobblers, chimney sweeps, and even washerwomen began selling their homes to buy a piece of paper that weighed nothing. Why? Because they realized that if they bought a contract this week, they could sell it to the carpenter next door for double the price by next week. At the height of the mania, a single bulb of the Semper Augustus variety sold for 5,500 guilders. To put that in perspective, that could buy you 12 acres of prime land, or allow a family of 5 to live comfortably for the rest of their lives without ever working a single day. This wasn't trade anymore. It was collective hypnosis. Everyone was whispering to each other, "Look, it's still going up. It'll never fall." That always up consensus is the oldest and most effective poison in human history. But every gamble follows the same law of physics. When you run out of greater fools, gravity takes over. Chapter 3, the moment gravity takes over, February the 3rd, 1637, Haarlem. The day started like any other, cold and gray. In the local taverns, traders were preparing to flip a few more contracts and walk away with a year's salary by lunch. But then, a microscopic tremor occurred. At the routine auction that day, the auctioneer called out a price, and the room fell into a bone-chilling silence. No bids. It wasn't that the flowers weren't beautiful anymore. It was that everyone suddenly realized there was no next guy left to buy. Panica contagion that travels 10 times faster than wealth ripped through Amsterdam in minutes. The bulbs that were hailed as green gold just yesterday turned back into exactly what they always were, worthless onions. Then came the avalanche. Men who called each other brothers the day before were now brawling in the streets. Those who had signed contracts promising to pay a fortune for bulbs were now staring at a debt they couldn't pay even if they committed suicide. The courts were drowned in tens of thousands of lawsuits. But the judges realized they were trapped in an impossible loop if they strictly enforced the law. Every family in the country would become a debt slave. To prevent a total societal collapse, the government had to step in and declare that all contracts could be scrapped for a flat fee of due. St. 10%. Overnight, decades of social trust in the Netherlands evaporated, shattered into pieces alongside those striped petals. Chapter 4 Onions, living ghosts. You're probably sitting there, behind your screen, smirking. You think we have the Fed, the SEC, composism, and regulations. You think we could never be as stupid as those 17th century Dutchmen in their pantaloons. If you really believe that, then you are the perfect prey. Take a good look at the world around you. The dot-com bubble of 2,000 companies with zero profit, but the com suffix saw their market caps touch the clouds. Were those not tulips? 以2008 financial crisis, bankers, taking the debt of people who couldn't pay and gift wrapping it into shiny financial derivatives. Was that not the trade in wind? Look at the NFTs of recent years. A pixelated monkey avatar selling for millions of dollars. Buyers told you it was the future of digital art or a blockchain revolution. But when the liquidity dries up, how is that monkey any different from a rotting onion in the mud? Human nature never changes. Dopamine hijacks your prefrontal cortex the moment you see an asset price skyrocket. It doesn't matter if the vessel is a tulip, a house, a Vecna, or the latest AI hype. Capital is always searching for the next consensus, the next collective hallucination to pull everyone in. Chapter 5. A gift for the survivors. The only lesson we learn from financial history is that humans never learn anything from financial history. Bubbles themselves aren't the scary part. They are a byproduct of prosperity, even the fuel for technological progress. The scary part is when you clearly hear the sound of the bubble popping, but you still believe you can run faster than gravity. In this world, the most expensive tuition fee is usually paid for 4 simple words. This time is different. When your chimney sweep is giving you stock tips, and your delivery driver is talking about the latest crypto charts. Remember that silent afternoon in Harlem in 1637. That lethal tulip might be sitting in your phone right now, waiting for its very last bloom. Of course, if you think the Tulip Mania was just a single-player scam, wait until you see what happens next in our next episode. We're going to talk about a much higher-level player man who didn't just scam the British royal family, but even made the greatest mind in history, Isaac Newton, lose the most disastrous war of his life. Follow me, and let's strip away the gold leaf from this cruel, money-driven world. Since we're destined to fall into the same pits over and over again, we might as well watch the fall together. I'll see you in the next one. Next step, would you like me to draft the script for the Isaac Newton, the South Sea Bubble episode T? Or continue this series?